moving that jab up and down. And then when you go downstairs, take that downstairs, come up with that left hook. It's gonna be open because it's gonna fall down into it. Anytime you jab down low, just keep trying to come over the top.
Like you could say, hey, you know what? I can't beat that Mayweather style. I was too young, but look, I did it now against Crawford.
I forget Mayweather a long time ago. This is different for me, you know? I lost that day and that's it. I learned a lot.
Who do you like in Canelo versus Crawford?
Well, I'm a giant Crawford fan because I think he's the best switch hitter since Marvin Hagler. I also think Canelo is slowing down, and Canelo is more of a one-punch fighter now than the combination fighter he was when he was younger.
Canelo got upset after hearing that Terence Crawford sparred with Floyd Mayweather during training camp. He said the fight has now become more personal because Crawford has been disrespecting him again and again. Canelo feels like Crawford is trying to make him look weak or unimportant, and he warned that this fight is no longer just about business.
Tell me a little bit about that. Did things get a little bit personal now?
Yeah, a little bit more personal because, you know, I did respect him. I don't respect him anymore because he say, I'm not gonna do what they want me to do and this and that. And then he tried to, maybe Turki Al-Ashi told him, hey, you need to do something because you seem so nervous in Riyadh. So and he tried to like walk me back, and that's why I pushed him. And you know, like I say, don't fuck with me.
Terence Crawford says he doesn't see Canelo Alvarez's record as impressive as many people think. He believes most of the big names Canelo fought, like Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, and Sergey Kovalev, were past their best years. The only active legend, Floyd Mayweather, clearly beat Canelo when they fought. Crawford feels this makes Canelo's career look less strong, and he's also upset that Canelo ignores his own achievements and tries to make his opponents seem less impressive.
About Canelo's resume, but I won't. You know, I wanna, you know, pay homage to the fighters that he fought. And if he don't want to pay homage to the fighters I fought, if he think they nobodies, then come fight time, then I wonder what they're going to say after I beat him.
Promoter Eddie Hearn admits Canelo has a natural size advantage, but he still believes Crawford has a real chance to win. He says Crawford's confidence and sharp focus make him dangerous for any fighter, even a bigger one like Canelo. Hearn believes that in boxing, mindset can change the outcome, and with Crawford's discipline and determination, an upset is possible. He also points out that Crawford's skill in controlling pace, distance, and rhythm could reduce the size difference. John Ryder, who has fought Canelo, says facing the Mexican champion is very tough because of his strong physical presence, and moving up in weight will be a big challenge for Crawford. However, Ryder believes that if anyone can handle it, it's Crawford. He praises Crawford's adaptability and skills, saying his technical ability could help overcome the size disadvantage.
Can he go up 2 divisions? A lot of people in his camp believe that he's even going to stop him, but yeah, what's your thought?
If there's any man that could do it, it would be Terence Crawford, but I just think the sheer size of Canelo is going to be too much on the line.
But do you think size will be too much? I mean, you were in there with Canelo, you landed good shots and he took them, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Terence Crawford is an exceptional talent, but I think the size will be the factor on the night and it'd just be too big, too strong.
Terence Crawford has a clear plan for beating Canelo. He says he could either pressure him, break his rhythm, and throw a lot of punches, or take a smarter approach by using defense, counters, and footwork like Mayweather did. Crawford knows he won't have the same size advantage Mayweather had in his prime, but he trusts his speed and timing. He sees himself as a fighter who can adapt to any style, mixing aggression with smart tactics, and believes this versatility could be the key to beating Canelo.
There's 2 things that you can do with somebody bigger and stronger. You know, you can either try to push them back, you know, because 9 times out of 10, a strong fighter not used to going back. You know, so it kind of fucks them up in the head, you know.
Yeah.
Or you can just box them because some of them just slower than others because they got flat feet, and they just looking to load up on certain shots.
Now, Crawford's definitely right here. There's 2 ways to beat a pressure fighter like Canelo. Either you put the pressure back on him, which is where guys like Triple G and Bivol had success, or you use your superior skills and footwork on the outside, which is how Floyd Mayweather won. Now, Crawford, he can't use the pressure approach because he's not as physically dominant as guys like Golovkin or Bivol. You know, Bud is a welterweight or junior middleweight jumping up. He doesn't have the size to push Canelo back. Now, the outside boxing approach, that is definitely Crawford's best chance against Canelo. You know, he is right. Canelo does struggle to cut off the ring at times. We saw that in the skull fight. And he does load up on single shots now. But at the same time, Crawford is not the same pure boxer that Floyd Mayweather was. You know, Mayweather rarely got hit in that shell. And his form of countering, you know, a pull counter, for example, was, I'm not going to get touched and then I'll make you pay. Whereas Crawford's style of counterpunching is different. Bud will take one to throw 2 or 3 back, and he can't do that against Canelo because of the size and power difference. If Bud takes a clean right hand to throw back an uppercut or a hook, he's either going to get dropped or he's going to end up on his bike like Jermell Charlo. So while I do agree Crawford does have the superior skill set in this fight, but because he doesn't have the size to push Canelo back, or the defense of someone like Mayweather to stay perfect for 12 rounds on the outside, I do think Canelo's size and power will make the difference in this fight. And that's why I like Canelo to win.
Joe Rogan believes the fight between Canelo and Crawford is closer than many think. He says Canelo is still a top fighter but has slowed down in speed and stamina, while Crawford is at his peak and dominating in multiple divisions. Rogan feels the timing might favor Crawford, given his current form and pound-for-pound status, making this a very competitive matchup. Jim Lampley, the legendary boxing commentator, says this fight is about more than size. He sees it as a battle between 2 fighters driven by pride and legacy. Both Canelo and Crawford have the same hunger to be the best and the same determination to never back down from a challenge.
Crawford is going to fight Canelo because even if I have some doubts and misgivings about the size matchup, it is 2 action fighters who like to fight aggressively at times, not all the times, going against each other, and we'll see who can open the other person's tuna can, so to speak.
Max Kellerman calls Terence Crawford the current #1 pound-for-pound boxer. He respects Canelo's past achievements but feels his best days are over. Kellerman says Crawford's recent performances have been perfect, showing full control over every opponent in any weight class, while Canelo has looked more vulnerable against fighters like Dimitri Bivol and even John Ryder.
You know who's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world? Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound-for-pound. Who was the best pound-for-pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these 2 guys, the last 2 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world.
Teddy Atlas respects Canelo's skills, calling him a complete and well-trained fighter, but he speaks about Terence Crawford differently. He calls Crawford special, a word he saves for fighters with rare instincts and intelligence in the ring. Atlas praises Crawford's ability to adjust during a fight, stay calm under pressure, and finish opponents with precision. He believes that while Canelo is great, Crawford might belong to a level reserved for the very best talents in boxing.
He's a little overrated. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds.
Canelo's really good. Really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire, it's in his mind, it's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? But those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
Daniel Jacobs, who has fought Canelo and watched Crawford closely, says both are fast, but Crawford's speed is more explosive and unpredictable. He points out that Crawford's ability to switch stances and throw punches from unusual angles could give him an advantage Canelo might not expect. After comparing both fighters, Jacobs says he would lean toward Crawford as the winner because of his timing, sharpness, and high ring IQ.
But I had at least over 15 years of knowing him, amateur, professional. I've seen where he started. I've seen how he's gotten better over time, but I also just know what resides in him. He's a dog, he's a beast, and he's out to prove something too. So I'm excited about this fight. Canelo obviously is self-explanatory. There's really no need to go down the rabbit hole when it comes to him. But I do see this being as a 50-50 fight. But if I was a betting man, I would bet on Crawford. But also, too, you can't count Canelo out. I mean, would go in, I'm assuming, as the favorite, which is rightfully so.
A lot of people say that version that you thought was probably the best, Canelo Alvarez. And since then, obviously, naturally, he's slightly declined.
Yeah.
Do you see this decline that people talk about?
Well, I can see in increments because Canelo, which I've always said is an amazing, legendary fighter, but he fights in spurts. So sometimes it takes for the opponent to actually initialize him giving the best. When he was faced with me, the opposition that I had and what I was giving him, it was just a lot, whether it was boxing, whether it was coming forward, but most importantly, it was the punches and bunches. And so he was forced to either stand there, wait for the right time, or be combative and go back at it. So I think that's what Crawford may have to do. Push the pressure, make Canelo fight, or maybe just play it safe, win on points, you know?
Brian Bomac McIntyre, Crawford's longtime trainer, is fully confident in his fighter. He says time is on their side because the more they prepare, the stronger Crawford gets, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. Bomac explains that every part of training, from nutrition and conditioning to film study and strategy, has been planned with Canelo in mind.
Different approach in terms of crafting a plan and going into camp?
No, not really. You know, we know the type of fighter Canelo is. So, as a fighter, you mentally prepare for things like that. And then as a trainer, just making sure he's sharp. His mental game is sharp. His physical game is sharp. Strength-wise, nutrition is everything got to, like I said, hitting on all cylinders. So by the time you step in that ring, it's easy picking.
Jaron Ennis, a rising star, takes a cautious view. He respects Crawford's skills, but knows the physical challenge will be tough. He says if Crawford can't make Canelo respect his power, the fight could shift in Canelo's favor. Ennis points out that skill is important, but at some point real damage needs to be done, and that can be harder for a naturally smaller fighter.
I think you gotta lean more towards Canelo, because like I said before, he been putting big guys out and down, and Canelo not even really a 68 pounder. He probably really should be at 60 maybe, and he been hurting these guys. I think he be dropping these guys and things like that. So, and them guys be way bigger than him come fight night. I know that for sure. They be probably close to 200 pounds. And he dropping those guys like that. So I don't know. It's gonna be a great fight. The fans want to see it. So so be it. I think Crawford should take a warm-up fight. At like 60 or like at least at 60, just to get his body, the feeling of somebody a little bit bigger. And things like that. I know when you go up a weight, you gotta develop that power and not develop the power, but like put that muscle on and be heavy and things like that. So he might not want to take a fight because he's trying to build up right now. But I think he should, just to stay sharp and that way he don't have like a long layoff or anything like that.
Alexander Usyk, who has beaten bigger opponents himself, says this is a fair fight. He admits it will be tough for Crawford, but still calls him the best pound-for-pound boxer today. Roy Jones Jr. believes the fight will come down to Crawford's mindset. If Crawford is sharp and follows the right plan, he can outsmart Canelo. But if he's even slightly off, Canelo's power and experience could take over. In the end, it's all about performing under pressure.
For pro boxing fans, joined by, does he need any introduction, Hall of Fame legend Roy Jones Jr. here in the UK. There's a few questions about the US guys. Obviously, Tank and Lamont Roach, we saw the first fight. Lamont Roach shot the world. What do you think happens in a rematch if they fight?
I think he shocks the world again, but the only thing different this time is Tank will come with a different attitude, different personality, different motivation, and I think Roach will do good again, but I think Tank will be more dominant this time.
And obviously we know if Canelo wins against William Skull, he will fight Terence Crawford in September. Who would you favour in that fight?
It's a hard one to call, and I'm going to tell you why it's a hard one to call. It's a hard one to call because it'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man and he can box and outbox Terence Crawford, he'll get beat. If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove to whether he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo come to the dance.
Brian Norman says the story of this fight is just as important as the action in the ring. If Canelo wins, some critics might not give him full credit because of the size difference. But if Crawford wins, it would be a huge achievement. This fight is about more than titles. It's about legacy. It could define both fighters' careers, and the winner will be remembered as the best of his era.
Deal with Canelo's experience over time, right? Even though Terence is the older fighter, he has, I think, 20 less fights than Canelo does, or maybe more. I think more than 20. And also, you know, competition level. This will be the most skilled, most experienced, biggest, strongest fighter that Terence Crawford's ever faced, without a question.
I love you both, but you still did not answer the question. How do you see this fight ended?
I told you.
Don't say with your hands.
I'm going
knock out.
I'm going
knock him out the ring.
Listen.
Shaq's trying to get that one-liner. He's trying to get that go viral moment from Bud, but he's just not that guy, right? And I think what he's about to say is, like, he's not going to go in there and be like, I'm going to knock him out, I'm going to do it in the first round. And plus, I wouldn't want to hear that, right? As much as that sounds nice as a soundbite, I wouldn't want to hear that because I don't think he believes that. And I don't believe that. I want to hear what Bud actually believes, which is, yeah, that he'll win, but not like this mystic Mac, let me predict the round, here's why, unless he truly believes that, and I don't think Bud does. I think he believes he'll get it done by any means necessary, whether that's, let's say, he was able to knock Canelo out or he gets it done by decision. Doesn't really matter because a fight is a fight at the end of the day, and all he needs to do is win.
Always in my mind doesn't exist a loss. You know, I train, I put my best, I dedicate myself to this sport, and I'm just thinking about win.
Many still see Canelo as the dominant fighter he was in his prime, but both he and the sport have changed. With Crawford pointing out flaws in Canelo's record, fans are starting to question the true value of his past wins. This fight could change public opinion about Canelo for good.
So you heard about what Canelo said about Terence Crawford's resume already and how he has no elite fighters on his resume. And say what you want about that, you know, agree to disagree or whatever. What do you guys think of Crawford saying this about Canelo? Canelo fought great champions, but most were past their prime. But when they weren't, you saw what happened. Lara, Mayweather, and Bivol. Obviously, Mayweather was past his prime already, I'd say. But he's right. I rewatched the Lara fight, and, you know, that Cuban style is just tricky to deal with. And, you know, a lot of people would say that Lara won that fight. And then Bivol, it was, I mean, I don't need to convince you about that. That fight was a clear-cut victory for Bivol. And it just showed that Canelo isn't this unbeatable person. You know, with the right set of skills, you can beat him. And I don't know, what do you guys think? Has Terence Crawford fought any elite boxers? You could say, you know, Errol Spence, but then, you know, after the whole horrible accident that he had. So who knows, right?
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and stay informed. Stay tuned for more updates, and let's keep our news accurate.